Yeah, you see, Tony, the argument would be that if you heard her screaming, why didn't you go in and stop it? Like you said, if she was scared for her life and you hear someone screaming like that, why would you not go in and try and help them? You were being stalked in Pattaya in the aftermath of all this. Who was stalking you? Was it the Thai police or somebody else? Well, hello there, Internet. It's Pete here from Thairish Times. What's the story? I hope you're keeping well. So today I'm interviewing retired lawyer and bodybuilder influencer Tony Huge, who has recently left Thailand in the aftermath of his friend's suspicious death. Tony's friend Leo passed away in Tony's home in Pattaya, Thailand in January this year. The autopsy report hasn't been released yet. Murder hasn't been ruled out. A lot of people are talking online about this. Some people are saying a hitman was hired. Other people are saying it was self-inflicted. So today we're going to talk to Tony, hear his opinion, and find out why he decided to leave Pattaya, Thailand to go to the Philippines. Let's get into it. All right, so Tony, I know you're going through quite a stressful time at the moment because recently, I think in the last maybe 6-7 weeks, your friend Leo passed away at your home.
Yeah.
And it's just completely blown up online. I mean, there are whole new channels sprang up based on this on Leo's death. So that must be a completely a stressful time for you. I was doing a bit of research for this interview and I came across I have a question here for you. Basically, Leo's widow Lucy implied that Leo's death was a result of assault and foul play. Have you seen the autopsy and do you still think Leo's death was self-inflicted?
I haven't seen the autopsy. The interpretation from a translator that reviewed it, and this was published online also, was that it was blunt force trauma to the head. But it doesn't say that there's a weapon. There's no description of what any kind of possible weapon could be. It can easily be a slip and fall as much as someone hitting him in the head. However, there's no other signs of violence. There's no, the room was torn up, but I believe he tore up the room himself. Is it possible that he's murdered? Yes, it is possible. I think it's highly unlikely. There's no signs of on his body of like bruises or like anything on his knuckles or his fingernails. Forensics thoroughly reviewed the scene. They found no evidence of murder whatsoever. The only thing is the hit on the head. So did he fall and hit his head or did someone hit him on the head? It's much more likely he fell and hit his head because there's no evidence that there's any weapon used or anyone else was present in the bathroom with him. And the way his body was against the door, it would have been extremely difficult for someone to place his body there and escape the bathroom. I think it would be impossible, but I suppose anything's possible. The people online say that, well, they could have just escaped out the window, but the window is a 2-story drop to the ground. And there's no way someone could survive that drop if they even did get out the window. Plus the window is so small, you'd have to be, 100 something pounds to get through it. And you'd have to be very acrobatic, the way the window is built. So I don't think that anybody was in there. I don't think it was murder. I don't think anybody who really has spent time really looking at it and knows all the facts would think that it's murder. But because the media made it look like murder, because the body was moved to the middle of the floor and the room was ransacked, when they searched the room, for forensics and everything, that it looked like a murder scene. But it's awfully suspicious to me too, why the media would make the scene look like a murder scene and then take the photos and then make it sound like a murder when they could have taken pictures before they ransacked the scene and before moving the body. And so it was either they had a motive to make it look like murder, or more likely they just wanted to sensationalize it and make it look like more suspicious than it was, or make it look like murder for a better news story. So that that was one part of your question. What was the other part?
So the next part was, do you think Leo's death was self-inflicted?
So Leo was very extreme. Like bipolar is one way. Technically, it's not bipolar, from what I understand. Experts say it's like a personality disorder, but this is what gave him the superpower of being able to be like, I think, one of the world's best researchers when it comes to things like brain chemistry and biohacking. So he had to have this personality disorder to be who he was, but this personality disorder, made his life a lot of suffering. So he would be very manic sometimes, and like overly excited and aggressive. And then sometimes he would be extremely depressed and he would sleep for days, like both extremes. So he's also very, very depressed about a couple things in his life, and he tries to distract himself away from it. And his biggest distraction from his problems was helping me. And he's similar to me like that. So what I do is sometimes I can't find the success that satisfies me in my life, and I feel a lot of anxiety about it. So I help other people instead, because it's easier for me to help other people than it is to help myself. And so I spend most of my time helping other people. So he was the same way, and he had that love for me and helping me, but I was also leaving him alone more often recently for a number of reasons, but especially because Connor Murphy, another friend, came into town, and I was spending more time with Connor. So I think he was feeling more depressed and more lonely. And I think that he was like, not suicidal, but in these moments where you get to choose to live or die, I can see him choosing to die based on him being in an extreme state of mind at a time when you have this choice. And so that's what I thought happened when I first entered the bathroom and saw his body. Or when I can't enter, but I can peek in the door, and then the door hits his body. I thought that, there was this moment that he had and he chose not to live because it was like a suicidal moment based on him just feeling really bad and the circumstances coming up. Like he hits his head and he just, you choose to, I don't know how to explain it. I've had this happen to me many times where I had a life or death situation, and I have this moment I can choose to live or die. And I could just see him making the choice to die. So that's what I truly thought happened. And he was also, because the night before and that morning, he was in a really high energy, manic, energetic, aggressive mood, more than I'd seen him before. I think it can't just be coincidence that he dies at a time when he's like having a manic, sort of an extended manic episode.
What was the story with the screaming? He had a woman in his room the night before, or else 2 days before, and you heard screaming. Can you tell us more about that?
He had a girl over who's the friend of one of the girls that I was dating, and she was I brought the girl for him through my girlfriend, basically, and she was screaming in the room a lot. So she came into my room afterwards, and she was crying and rattled and holding her neck and stuff. And so my girlfriend calmed her down, and we didn't send her home until she was like calm and happy and not going to complain about what happened. But it's kind of a fetish thing with him to be really rough with girls. It's not like
What was he doing? Choking?
Yeah, I think choking is one of the main things he likes. Choking, slapping, and biting. But I think choking is the one that she thought was like, she was afraid for her life, and I think that was because of the choking.
Yeah, you see, Tony, the argument would be that if you heard her screaming, why didn't you go in and stop it? That's probably what people are saying online, because if you, like you said, if she was scared for her life and you hear someone screaming like that, why would you not go in and try and help them?
This has happened before, and afterwards the girls also seemed okay with it. So the thing is, I'm the opposite of him. I like pamper the girls, and I'm romantic with them and sweet to them. And Leo was trying to teach me that that's not what really women want. Women want you to be rough and dominate them. So I was learning from him. And for me, as like the student, to come in and tell the professor, like, what he's doing is wrong, when so far he's been right every step of the way. I mean, like the way that he would talk and treat women is something that anybody in the Western civilization would say is criminal. However, I watched in person him train the women. I watched him fulfill the women, and it worked. It's like how like Christians don't even realize how extremely different like the Muslim culture is, and he was something beyond the Muslim culture. But it's not that one is right or wrong, right? Because look, half the world's Muslim, and half I don't know if there's an equal amount, but like there's a lot of Muslims that have been Muslims a really long time, and there's a lot of Christians that have been Christian a long time, and each say that they're wrong about how they treat women. And Leo was, I came up with more of a Catholic type family, and he came up with more of like a Muslim belief system. And I was learning how Muslims treat women, and it worked because also with my harem was out of control, and it was a problem, and I trained them improperly. And he came in and he started training my harem. He would yell at my harem, and he would put them in their place, and he would discipline them, and their behavior improved. They became more productive. They became happier. They liked the authority. They actually didn't like my wishy-washy, like beta male, like pamper them. They didn't want, they wanted structure. They wanted discipline. They wanted authority. And I started learning how to do that without having to be physical about it, but just more of my energy. And it was part of my learning process. But this time was the loudest screams that I'd heard. And this was to the point. And when the girl came in, I saw that she did not like any part of it. So this was the one time where I thought, this is dangerous. This is going to, for sure, she's going to go to the police. This is going to be a domestic violence thing. I need to calm the situation down after it happened. But while it's happened, I hope you can understand better. Like, he's the professor, I'm the student. He's been right about everything so far. I've heard noises, like not quite to this extent, but building up to this. And I'm very respectful of his privacy. So, but I would see how a lot of people would have. I understand the audience's perspective. Like, a lot of people would have, in that situation, knocked on the door and had said like, "Hey, is everything okay in there? Like, what's going on?" And break it up and try to figure out so I could have done that, and it probably, I don't know, maybe would have saved his life. Maybe it would have snapped him out of this, not because someone that she knows did anything to him, but because maybe it would have snapped him out of this sort of manic, because the difference is also, although he would act like this before, this time was more extreme, and it was, I think, because of the supplements he was taking. And I think I could have snapped him out of it, but I also, like, the more intense he is, the less I want to create a conflict with him, because sometimes he doesn't want to be told what to do. If you tell him what to do, he'll really like get in your face and start a fight about it. So I didn't want to fight. I don't like conflict, and I don't like fighting. And so I didn't want to invite a fight, especially not when he's in like an aggressive, horny mood,
But Tony, would it be plausible to say, for example, put the argument forward, or else, I mean, would it be plausible to say that she could have hired someone to hurt Leo then after that?
Yeah, I mean, it's Thailand. You wouldn't have to hire someone. It's not like she would have the money to hire someone, but all a girl would have to do is tell a boyfriend, an ex-boyfriend, any number of people, that this happened, and they would avenge her for sure. So yeah, that's I think the police also saw that as the number one suspect if it was murder. But I believe the police also concluded that this was more like a suicide, drug overdose, slip and fall type situation from all the ones that they've seen in the past. However, going down the different murder possibilities, this was one of the ones that the police thought was the most plausible. Because, yeah, I mean, they questioned her, they questioned me and her, they questioned my other girlfriend and her, and at the same time, I'm watching, when the girl and I are talking to the police, And the girl is like, no, she's in talking Thai. My girlfriend's interpreting for me, but she's saying, oh, he wasn't trying to kill me. He was doing kinky fetish sex stuff. So it was like sexual, it wasn't violence, she was saying. And when she said it, it was like she had accepted it. It wasn't like she was mad about it and she wanted revenge type attitude. It was like she definitely would never see him again and she learned a lesson. But at the same time, it wasn't like she was still mad about it, because her friend and I calmed her down afterwards. And I don't think she held resentment for it. I think she just wanted to get out of there, and not come back. But I didn't get the feeling, and I don't think the police got the feeling that she had the motive of revenge. However, yeah, that is by far, like, of anybody who had the access and the motivation to do it, this is by far the most likely scenario.
So you mentioned you were being stalked in Pattaya in the aftermath of all this. Who was stalking you? Was it the Thai police or somebody else?
I think it was a lot of people. I think the ex-wife put up reward money for information leading to the prosecution of murder or whatever, if there was one. And so I think that inspired a lot of people to try to get that money and invest in stalking me. And then I think the police were also following me. And I think that who else? There's so many different possible people. There's other YouTubers that were investing in private investigators to follow me also. So I think a lot of people had motivation and resources to hire investigators to follow me.
How did you know they were following you? Were you at a bar walking down the street and you saw people behind you, or how did you know at the moment you were being stalked?
Oh, well, the most extreme is there's always someone in my neighborhood with a pen and a paper writing down every license plate of that goes to my house and every person, and making phone calls. Like, they're literally sitting on the corner of my street. And then anytime I go anywhere, there's like someone following me, or if someone comes to my house, then they're following them. So I mean, it was obvious. I saw only so many people following me, but then imagine if I saw that many, how many am I not seeing? So I think there was a significant. It's not just like one or two. There's probably like 5 different people following me for quite a while there.
And is that why you left Thailand?
Yeah, pretty much. It's not. I saw in the comments people saying, why would you worry about someone following you if you have nothing to hide and you're big enough to defend yourself? But it's not like that. It's like the violation of privacy is extremely unsettling. Like, go to sleep at night knowing that all these people, the news published my address also. So, and it was like front page news. So who knows what kind of weirdos that brings out of the woodwork to stalk me. So, like, I don't know what all these people's intention are. And there's a lot of really strange people that get obsessed with cases like this. And I don't know who started the narrative that I had something to do with the murder, but then you have people thinking that, and thinking they're going to be like justice fighters, or like renegades or something like that too. So then I'm really nervous, like someone's going to retaliate against me or something I didn't even do. But mostly I was worried about the privacy of the people around me. Like, I'm thinking, gosh, a lot of my friends are out of the matrix type people that don't want any attention or drama. And I've not lost friends, but I got a lot of friends that don't want to spend time with me because I bring drama and I bring attention, I bring heat. So then I'm thinking, gosh, now I'm never going to be able to spend any time with any of my friends who want to remain underground, because they're not going to want this type of heat and attention and people following me and all that kind of stuff. So it really was limiting what I could do in so many different ways.
Are you stressed out by all this, Tony? Because I mean, all the rumors going around. There's all these guys online talking about it. I mean, there's a guy who just created a whole channel based on all this content. You've had your uncle doing a podcast, and he was talking about stuff from your past, totally not relevant to what happened, but he went into all these other personal stories that really shouldn't be really shared online. Are you stressed out by all this?
This is the same thing that happened before, when my initial YouTube channel got deleted and the government came after me, and I was, yeah, I've been through all this before. And yeah, it's really stressful, and your life has to revolve around it because you have to stay one step ahead. Uh, otherwise these problems snowball out of control. And everybody's got different motivation, but when people see like the weakness like this or someone crumbling, it's very easy to come in and create the rest of the destruction, to cause the complete destruction. So anybody who had even the slightest motivation to cause me harm saw an opportunity to do so, including like girlfriends that just felt powerless, that maybe could feel more powerful by assisting in my destruction, or ex-family members who I haven't talked to in 10, 15 years, who I'm glad to have out of my life, who now see it as an opportunity to come in and just cause me more problems. To a lot of jealous friends that I thought were friends, but actually were very jealous. And then when the opportunity comes to blow my candles out to make theirs shine brighter, that type of thing, then they take that. Yeah, and I made the mistake of having some friends that I thought were friends that ended up to be like enemies in disguise, that made this whole thing a lot worse than it was. So it was just like it was like the media pushing the murder narrative, even though there was no evidence of murder. I mean, like, even the police didn't think it was murder at the time. Even the media pushing it caused the police to treat it more like a murder, caused this huge investigation way beyond whatever would have happened if it wasn't for the people who are trying to cause me problems, causing me problems. And then all the women see this as an opportunity. And then before you know it, the whole world is against me. And there's only a few people like standing by my side, supporting me and listening to me and asking me questions instead of making assumptions and then causing more problems. So this happened before, and it really helped me filter out a lot of people. And now it happened again, and it helped me filter a lot of people out again. You know, most notably the whole harem, getting rid of the harem that kind of thrived off the drama. You know, when Leo passed away, also, this created a lot of drama, and I got to see which girls thrived off the drama and which girls I could really trust in this situation. And the truth is, I don't think I could really trust any of them. And so, time to start over. Yeah.
So Tony, what's the future hold for you? Your YouTube channel's been deleted. If people want to see your content, what can they do?
Well, there's a website, tonyhuge.is, that has links to all the other platforms that I'm on. And I might get back on YouTube. I've just got to carefully calculate what it is I want to present. And then Rumble, I've got stuff on Rumble. But I think one of the best ways to stay up to date with me is there's a Telegram group, and the link of which is on the tonyhuge.is website.